Hi, everyone. Welcome to BuildUp. Our guest today is Stephane Nasser, co-founder and CEO of OpenVC. Stephane spent the last 7 years working at the intersection of tech startups, venture capital, and corporate innovation. He's a digital nomad. He has lived and worked in Paris, San Francisco, Shanghai, and 20 cities across the world. So he's currently in the middle of the Chinese countryside and building a CRM for founders. So let's hear it from Stephane about what he's building. Welcome, Stephane.
Hi, Dipti. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the intro.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be talking to you today. Tell me a little bit about what OpenVC is in your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. In a word, we're trying to build a new channel, a new way for founders and investors to find each other. So, you're a tech founder, you're starting your startup. At some point, you're probably going to want to raise funds. And we're trying to build the entry door for that. So you need venture capital, you don't know where to start, angel investors, VCs, how to build my pitch deck, how to access those people who are really hard to access, by the way. And this is the main pain point that we're trying to solve. So we have developed a whole suite of tools and content to support those founders worldwide for their fundraising.
That's very cool. So how did you get this idea to start OpenVC?
Always been, as you said, in entrepreneurship in general. My first job out of business school was at the time, Microsoft Accelerator. So they had this, and I know you've been at Meta, and so it's just across the road. But yeah, I worked at their accelerator, startup accelerator, helping those early stage companies. And part of the job was, of course, fundraising. Mm-hmm. And that's when I saw them struggling with, so the first pain point was I remember very clearly in Paris, we had this beautiful co-working and we had 20 founders working side by side on their laptops, building their investor lists. And so each one of them had a spreadsheet open, building their own investor list separately. And I was like, why don't we have a community tool, a collaborative tool where we can all, share this information because everybody's looking for the same thing at the end of the day. I felt it was super inefficient. Yeah. And so this is where the idea emerged. And then a few years later, I discovered no-code tools. And I'm not a tech person, right? I'm more of a business guy. And so suddenly I could build a V0.1 of the product, which was a collaborative investor database. And that was the original version of OpenVC. And then we kept adding stuff, over nights and weekends, building on the side until today, where we have thousands of users every month.
That's awesome. How many founders do you have on the platform today?
So it's a flow. So at the moment, so January, I can tell you, because we just finished January, we had 1,200 startups use OpenVC. Mm-hmm. In January, which is pretty cool. It was 300 12 months ago, so it's growing nicely. The value prop is, so one of the key aspects of the product is that most of it is completely free forever, right? So there is very little friction to use the product, and it's a no-brainer for most founders. So the value prop for them is pretty obvious, and we don't have a hard time convincing them to give it a try.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do the founders use OpenVC typically for? Is it to kind of build their investor list? Do they also build their deal flow through this? Or do VCs also build their deal flow through this?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you said. So for the founders, the first entry point is I'm looking for investors, and we have an investor list which is completely open. And so you can go to OpenVC, you search just like in Google. You type in keywords, some filters, and you get your lists, and you can filter, save them. And the really cool thing is that all that data is first-hand party. So investors signed up to be on the platform, and they gave us their data. So we didn't scrape anything. Everything is original and verified. We verify against the email address of the investors. As a founder, this is legit and robust data you're working with. And that those investors, and they also tell us, the investors, how they want to be contacted. Do they have a form they want you to fill? Do they accept cold emails? And if yes, then can go through OpenVC, and we protect them against spam and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So we're really trying to kind of build a product that is founder friendly and investor friendly, so both sides can happily collaborate on the platform. Yeah. So that's the use case for the founders. Yeah, the first thing is get me that investor list.
Sounds good. Crunchbase, PitchBook, are they similar? Do you think they would be your competitors?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not competitors, but they are similar. What they don't do is they don't do the access, right? They give you the names, right? So they tell you, okay, this guy has invested in this and that. And by the way, the product is not really designed for our use case, which is I'm an early stage founder building my investor list. Even then, they're not going to give you the email address of the investor or the forms to submit a deck or this kind of stuff, right? So this is where OpenVC is, I think, really good at. I think what we're doing is a niche. They don't really care about that. They sell their product to venture funds, right? They sell the list, or even better, to large corporations that have an innovation department. I've worked with those guys before, so I know how it is. People like CB Insights, right? They can sell very expensive annual subscriptions to the big guys. We serve a very different segment with quite a different product. Like if you look from afar, it might look similar, but use both products and it's completely different. OpenVC and Crunchbase, very, very different.
Got it. What is your monetization strategy for OpenVC?
So at the moment, we have a premium membership. So you're a founder, you can use OpenVC for free, reach out to investor for free. We don't charge any transaction fee. We don't take success fee. You don't have to pay for the connections, right? We're not a broker dealer. And then if you like it and you get value from it, we have premium filters, a bunch of advanced features for power users. And so those guys usually upgrade and they go premium. And that's how we make money. So you could compare it to LinkedIn, right? Everybody's on LinkedIn for free. And then some people pay for LinkedIn Premium because they find value in it. So that's our model.
Got it.
And it's a monthly subscription, right?
Makes sense. So how are you growing your subscription base and even like your free user base? What's your strategy for that?
That's the topic of 2024. How do we keep growing? Because so far it's been pretty organic. We don't have to push so hard and it's growing nicely. But now we want to be more intentional about it and we have to be a bit more professional. So we're looking at a few things. So what we're doing today, and that works really well, is social media. So Twitter, LinkedIn for us, amazing, doing super well. SEO, it's working well too, but it's kind of limited in our space. Not that many keywords, not that many opportunities. And word of mouth has been super important for us. We've experimented with a bunch of other stuff. Was not great. I think we'll just double down on what works, right? So social media, SEO, word of mouth, we'll try to set up some affiliation or referral program in place to engineer that word of mouth even more. Because right now it's just very spontaneous. We don't ask people to do anything.
Yeah.
And if we can, do that and just, 2x or 3x this year, I think this would be a good result for us. So that's the top of funnel. And then in terms of conversion and, just getting people to upgrade, is just improving the product. You started talking about the CRM. Actually, this is something we're launching next week. We're going to have a full-fledged fundraising CRM for the founders, and it's going to be 100% free. So you're a founder, you need to centralize, run your raise, run your process like a pro. You can, get OpenVC, get the CRM completely free. And then, of course, this for us is a way to attract users, and some of them will upgrade to premium. Yeah. So giving more value to the community, and then some people are so happy they support us and they go premium. That's the plan.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, it almost seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, why would a founder not do this? So I think for all the founders out there, this is definitely something they should look into. So let's switch gears a little bit. Since you've been in this field for so long, working with founders, working with investors, how is the market different now than what it was, say, 2020, 2021, or even before that?
Yeah, clearly there has been a shift. It's the end of the zero interest rate period. So from my angle, it's going to be about what it takes to raise, which is what I call fundability. Fundability in 2020, 2021 could be, a good story and some vibes. You pass the vibe check, what I call hype investing, right? You know how to create the fear of missing out, how to, to press the buttons of investors, and they respond to that strongly. And you can, close a round via Twitter DMs, basically. Yeah, I mean, this was a thing, right? I remember.
College kids pitched to me without a deck. Like they didn't even bother to make a deck, and they were pitching. They were asking for 1 million, 2 million, and they actually raised from some investors. So I remember those crazy days.
You didn't invest?
I did not, but apparently they had Reid Hoffman's family office invest and all that. So it was like definitely the boom cycle for.
Exactly. And now, just like you said, I think now it's back to fundamentals. So deals are still being done, right? But with a few caveats. So one is that the terms have deflated. So, maybe a seed, like what is a seed today would have been a pre-seed earlier, right? So that's one thing. And investors will ask to see a path to profitability, product market fit, or market validation, or some tangible elements, right? Maybe a wait list is not enough anymore. Maybe you need to build a little, maybe you need to have some users, So I would say the top 1%, the top 5% still get funded. But for people under that who, the 5 to 50%, it's more of a struggle. And the bottom ones, they should just bootstrap because it's not happening. They should get to the point where they are fundable. So yeah, I think this is what's happening. Terms are tougher, the bar is higher, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And of course, there are exceptions, right? If you have a strong team in, AI, right, this doesn't apply to you. There are always some exceptions. But other than that, if you're just another, B2B SaaS product, which I love, then the market is what it is.
So what are some interesting deals that you have visibility to? Like what kind of founders are getting funded? Or and I know you mentioned something about you should be a little bit more mature in terms of your product development and PMF. But what are some specific attributes that a founder needs to hit before they can start raising money?
Okay. So, of course, it depends on what kind of investor we're talking about. If we're talking about VCs, I think at the end of the day, they invest in proven founders. So what does that mean to be a proven founders? I believe, and it's my opinion, people may disagree. I believe this means two things. A, you are proven because of your track record, right? So you've done things before. So the top one, of course, is you had a previous exit, right? So you sold your previous company for, 8-9 figures. You're proven, man. You can do what you want. You will raise, no problem. Or if it's not as impressive, but you still have done, you've done stuff, right? You've had, you worked at, at Meta or Amazon, stuff like that in significant positions. You've worked in VC-backed companies at C-level, something like that. So that's what we call proven. That's half of the story. But of course, for many founders, you don't have that track record yet. Most founders are first-time founders. They are just starting on the journey. So that is not an option for them. So then the other way to be proven is to be proven with your current startup, which means traction. So you have, you're growing 20, 30% month over month in monthly recurring revenue for SaaS startups. You have retention. If you're social media, you have strong retention, daily active users, these kind of things. So depending on your business model, there's going to be a different thing. If you're in e-commerce, it's going to be a returning purchase, but you want that one key metric to be really bright green, right? And investors, they know their playbooks. They have all those metrics very clearly mapped out in their minds. And so your job is to hit those numbers so you can be fundable. And it's not the same number at pre-seed, seed, Series A. So, and this is something that is obvious for investors. But I just working with a lot of founders, they just don't know that. They don't know they are milestones, right? And that these are the standards of the industry because nobody teaches them. Okay. They just wake up one day, they decide to raise, never done that before, and they don't have the codes. And this is actually one of the things with OpenVC. We started building the tools, and then we realized, okay, we give people the tools, and they just fail because they don't have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so then we went on and built a lot of content to support them in that process of, okay, I have to learn the playbook before I can use the tools. And so this is something I'm very passionate about because it would save so much pain, so much blood, sweat, and tears to founders who burn their savings, put all their efforts into projects and trying to raise funds, and it's not going to happen because they just don't hit the boxes and they don't know that.
Yeah, no, I think it's super helpful. I saw the content on your site and it was really well done. So definitely any founder should leverage that. It's almost like a 101, right? Like these are the things you should know as a founder before you embark on this arduous journey of, starting a company, especially in this market. So it's definitely something every founder should leverage. What is your vision for OpenVC? What are you looking to do in the next 3-5 years?
Oh, I don't think that far. I just say if we can just keep doing what we do better, better product, better, like more founders, more investors. That's just, we just want to keep growing and serving more people. For us, what's really our key metric for us is what we call reply rate. So we track, do investors reply? So when founders reach out to investors, do investors reply to founders on the platform? Because this means we're doing our job well in curating, screening, because every deal is screened. And so we want to make sure that we send relevant stuff. January was really good from that point of view. We got 40% reply rate, 40. So, which is super high. If you compare that with any, cold email that founders on their own, it's like 0.4%. So the vision for us is, I'm a founder. I go to OpenVC. I shoot 10 emails on Monday. I get 10 replies on Tuesday. That would be amazing. And then the reply, of course, can be a yes, let's go have a call, can be no, not interested. But at least, you've made a big step forward in 24 hours. No intros needed, no terrible cold emails, just clean, simple outreach and clean, simple reply. This is what we're aiming for. And if we can get this, in 2024, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So you're essentially democratizing the access to VCs, right? Enabling any founder to be able to reach out to a VC and get a response. And I think that's huge. That's a very noble vision and goal to have as well. So that's amazing. Give us some insights about VCs, right? Like what's the open rate? I know you just mentioned 40% open.
Yeah.
So give us some fun facts and insights that you would like useful for founders to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fun fact is that, so on OpenVC, we see what happens on the platform. So when founders email investors via our system, we see when investors open the email, when they open the deck, how much time they spend on it, and when they reply and what they reply. Okay, we track all of that. And this information, by the way, is not a secret. You can go to our website, and for each investor, you will see the open rate, the average open rate on their profiles. So, and what's really funny is some investors, on Twitter who claim to be open, inclusive and all that stuff, when I look at their stats and the guys, they never open one deck. I mean, there is a big difference between the marketing stuff they say and what they actually do. And we really track that. And we see that they receive. We see that it's delivered, right? It's not a deliverability problem. They receive because they open the email. They just never care to click or to reply. And they just, leave people in the limbo. And then what we do is we remove them from the platform, right? We have some, numbers. And if those guys are too, not engaged enough, we just remove them from the platform. That's a fun fact. Other than that, I can tell you, so at the moment for us, the open rate is around 65%, I guess, for January, and reply rate 40%. So you send 10 emails, you get 6-7 open and 4 replies. And opens, honestly, are pretty good too, because even if they don't reply, it's a no, right? Because when you see they open your deck, they check it, two things happen. Either they really love it and you're going to get a call in the week, right? Yeah. Or they're not excited. It's not sexy for them because it's very emotional as a response.
Right.
And they just close and forget. We're going to run a couple of follow-ups automatically via OpenVC. And after that, we just mark it as declined because that's the message. By the way, this is something that's like the VC language is silence is a no, right? So.
Yeah, that's great. And how does the 65% open rate and 40% response rate compare to people that are reaching out to VCs outside of OpenVC?
There is no solid data on that. And I actually research papers on VC outreach. There are very few, and they are listed on OpenVC as well. So we did our research. I would say that I spoke with a few guys who also do VC outreach as their job. So they are like agencies or freelancers, and they are paid by founders to do their VC outreach. They don't do that for OpenVC. They do that with their own emailing software like Apollo, Lemlist, this kind of stuff. Those guys, from what I hear, get 20% reply rate, 25% reply rate. And those guys are professionals. Keep that in mind. That's their job. They paid for that. We are a software product. We're not a service company. So I think this is a good signal for us so far.
Yeah.
Of course, it's still a vanity metric at the end of the day, if I have to be honest. Because do they get funded? That's what matters. And this today, I cannot tell you. But I can tell you that we put your deck in front of that many investors.
Yeah.
And after that, it's in your hands. Right, we're not raising for you. That's a completely different job. But we're giving you a fighting chance. Yeah. We're making sure your deck is seen, and after that, it's another game starting.
Fair enough. At least you're enabling access, which itself was a huge challenge before OpenVC came in. So that's great. Any stats about women founders? I know that less than 1% of the women founders get funded by VCs, right? So that's been kind of the do you have any interesting facts about that? Has OpenVC been able to enable women founders to get in front of VCs better?
So we from V1, from the very, very first version, we had a filter for female founders. And for underrepresented founders in general, we have different categories. So this has been growing in the past 5 years as a trend in venture capital, that some funds will specialize in those founders. So you have funds that specialize, for example, in female founders, and they almost only invest if there's at least one woman in the founding team. So we made it easy to find those funds. So if you go to OpenVC and you're a female founder, you can just add that in your criteria. We will show you, prioritize at the top of the list those funds that make sense for you, that are, let's say, that have a bias in favor of those founders. So this is how we do it today. What we've been looking at, and actually it's been very hard to execute, and I can tell you why. Well, so what we've been looking at is how about we allow the startups that sign up to declare they have a female founder. Because one, we would have data on that, and we could say, okay, we have actually 20% of our startup base has a female founder, and on average they get more or less replies. So that could be an interesting data point. And we could also, once you have that data, you can actively do stuff on this, right? Many options, but if you don't have that data. Now the challenge for us, and we've tested that, we've run a small experiment, that when you ask people to sign up that information, along with other stuff, because we asked a lot of, basically sex, race, all that stuff, we also got some strong pushback from some users who are not very happy with that. Because I guess it's a very politically loaded question today. We don't want to antagonize part of our user base, and there's also a legal question, because in the US you can ask this kind of stuff. In France, where I am, if I do a database on race and gender, I go to jail. It is forbidden. Like in France, but just side note, because Americans usually don't know that, and in many other countries, ethnic statistics or racial statistics are a crime forbidden by law. If you ask people to fill a form with their race, end of the game for you. So this is very, very different from the American approach to that.
Right.
And so for that reason, we just put that on hold. We have mock-ups and we tested some stuff, but we haven't found the right way to implement that so the people who need it can access it and the others just don't. So for now, it's on hold, and we'll see when we can find a solution for that.
Yeah. But at least providing access to women-friendly VC companies is...
Yeah, that was an easy one. So we did it immediately.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think what you're doing is definitely very, very helpful to the founder community. And I really urge and hope a lot of founders take advantage of this and
thank you.
Using OpenVC. Any closing thoughts? Any advice to founders that are looking to raise in 2024?
I'll just give one. Try to build without VCs. And it's kind of like shooting myself in the foot, but try to design your whole project as a bootstrap project, right? Get profitable, get margins, get growth, get users, all that stuff on your own. And then because you will be healthy, you'll become sexy for investors. And that's when you will be able to attract investors. Investors invest in you when you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're needy, if you actually need the money, if you say, hey, I need funding, otherwise I cannot build, then this is not a compelling value prop for investors. Right? What they want to hear is, hey, we are killing it. We have a product, it's an MVP, it's a terrible product, but we have users, they love the product. Of course, it's broken and we have to do a lot of manual stuff. And but it's growing, it's happening. And it's happening with or without you. And by the way, we almost break even. We'll break even next month. And, of course, we're living off ramen and noodles. But, but we're making it happen on our own. And we can build it all without you. And, and you have those numbers and you have distraction, what we discussed to begin with. Then you're sexy for investors. And then they consider you. And again, this is kind of mindset where founders think, yeah, I need the money to start building and I need the money to start growing. No, that's the other way. You need the product, you need the growth to then be able to raise and fuel and accelerate that trajectory and that momentum that you've initiated. But you are the starting point of that, not some investor.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And for any founder that's looking to build or looking to raise, I think become self-sustainable first. Build a business model that doesn't need a VC to fuel them. And then once you build that, they'll come. And I think that's great pragmatic advice, Steph.
Get to 10K. Get to 10K monthly revenue. This will solve, you'll sleep better. This will solve most of your, day-to-day problems. And, on a small team, right? On the founding team.
Yeah.
And then from there on, you're indestructible.
Totally. I think that's great advice. Thank you, Stephane. This has been super useful. I hope all the founders and VCs that watch this podcast also find the same thing. And it was really great talking to you and learning more about OpenVC. Thank you so much for being on BuildUp.
Thank you, Dipsy.